For over 30 years, one man, his imagination, his heart, and his philosophies helped shape the landscape of television, more directly, children's television. The show dared to provide analysis and perspective on complex and complicated issues happening in the modern world, and it broke it down in such a simple way for children to understand. This man understood and believed that children are special simply for who they are, not for who or what they will eventually become, and his show reflected this belief for over 3 decades. So, does Won't You Be My Neighbor take us on an honest journey of the man Fred Rogers, or is this neighbor getting his eviction notice? Let's talk about it in this review. The documentary begins by Mr. Rogers revealing the philosophies and concepts of the show that he was to create. It was basically a mission statement from a business perspective. He understood that in life, change is inevitable, and understanding change as a child can be complicated. He felt called to help calm the waters of change before they became turbulent. He saw children, just like adults, have profound thoughts and feelings. And he felt that it was our responsibility as adults to help guide them and instruct them to better prepare them for this crazy world that we, the adults, have created for them to eventually inherit. And he wanted to do this using television in a very honest, simplistic, and creative way. So the show Mr. Rogers was born in 1963. And 3 years later, the name evolved into Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, where it remained for the life of the show. The documentary does a fantastic job of highlighting not just the man at work and at home, but also the show itself and all of the people who are involved with it, both family members and friends. We are treated to an incredibly well done job of balancing pre-recorded footage with modern interviews of the people who were involved with the show, whether they were a friend or a family member of Fred's. And it does this what seems to be effortlessly. As calm as Fred was, so was the progression of this film looking into the life of Mr. Rogers, his philosophies, his work ethic, his family, his creativity, and his passion for helping children. And this in turn helped us as adults better understand how to relate and deal with children as more than just something that's going to be a future consumer of goods and ideas. By the time the credits rolled, I was completely moved by the honesty of this film, as well as the honesty of the man Fred Rogers himself. Also, the passion he had for helping others deal with anxiety, friendships, sadness and loss, happiness and humor, and more. It felt like no screen time was wasted at all, and we got the truest depiction possible for this man, his philosophies, his show, and his heart. It's a revealing look into the life of an individual who stands apart from the crowd and challenges us, even still, to consider love as the only option for bringing about actual change in ourselves, in our neighborhoods, in our country, and throughout the world. His mission statement that he delivers at the very beginning of this movie really undersells the tremendous impact the show had, and this movie really reveals that. Won't You Be My Neighbor is playing at your local movie theater right now, and I am definitely recommending a big screen viewing of this film. As somebody who used to work with kids and counsel kids, this film had many profound moments for me. I was unaware walking into this movie how talented Mr. Rogers was, as well as how many of his own personal philosophies mirror my own. This film explores some beautiful moments as well as some complicated moments. And by the end of the film, we realized that's exactly how Mr. Rogers would have wanted it. He never shied away from discussing complicated and delicate matters. And by the end of the film, we get a really good sense of that as myriad topics are covered. Won't You Be My Neighbor gives us the full scope of things, and I personally was moved many times throughout this film. And because of that and all of the positives that we've already discussed in this review, Won't You Be My Neighbor is getting all the high fives from this guy. Won't You Be My Neighbor is playing at your local movie theater right now. Definitely go see this on the big screen and probably bring some Kleenex. You have been warned. Go see this film